Hello, friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Sup, Levi?
Sup, Jen.
Sup.
We have a hot one today, because we are doing the Heavensward Paladin quest.
So
that just happened.
I've heard a lot of things about these quests over the years. Never done them myself because I'm not a tank, so like, fuck it. But I had to do it for the pod.
Yeah. Welcome to the club, Jen.
Jesus Christ.
So as Jen has described, this is one of the most maligned job quests in the game.
It's goddamn. My expectations were very, very
surpassed.
low.
Oh, wow.
Well, yes, they were, but in the wrong direction.
I don't want to burn too much pod, Jen, but also I felt like your arc was going to be like, why is this such a big deal for 8 levels? And then, oh shit. I was wondering if you were thinking we were all like fucking with you for a while until...
Nope, it started getting head cocky real soon.
Nice. Okay. Well, anyway, as inferred by this preamble, this will be a bit of a negative episode. I had a fun time personally. It's kind of like a bad movie. I knew going into this my second time that it would be rough, so I was not angry about it per se.
No. I don't think angry is the right word. It's shock and awe. I don't know.
It is those things.
Unreal. Anyway, now that we've set everybody's expectations.
Exactly.
So, okay, also, full disclosure. So when I did Paladin 1 through 50 on my main, because I have to do it on my main, because Otis hasn't even, like, touched that shit. Apparently, I clicked OK on the level 50 quest, the Heavensward one, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to do this yet, or something. I knew I had gone a half step too far. So for, I don't know, year?
You can abandon the quest, Jen.
I very rarely touch my main these days, and it's just scenery at this point. Like those quests have just been living there. So this, like the second step of this quest line has been sitting in my duty list for probably a year or more. So when I was like, where do I go pick this up?
All of Heavensward. All of Dawntrail.
Yeah.
It's been sitting there.
Yeah.
Mocking you.
Yeah.
Great.
And I was like, I'll get to, I don't even remember, but I don't want to abandon it because then I'll forget, like I was doing it. It's like, it's an ADHD thing. If it's out of sight, out of mind. And I'm like, that's why there were 75 tabs open in my browser.
So you couldn't find the quest.
Right. I didn't know where to pick it up. So I Googled, I'm like, where do you pick up level 50 Paladin quest? And it's like, oh, you talk to Jinlins and then Owen at Blue Fog. And I'm like, wait a second. Why are those words so familiar? Owen at Camp Blue Fog. That shit. And then I look at my duty list and it's those meet Owen at Camp Blue Fog in my duty list. And I've been looking at it for months and months and months and months.
This happened when we were doing the Savage. I guess I might spoiler that. The Stormblood series Savage. This exact same thing happened because you had never finished the normal raid turn-in. So everyone was trying to get going and you're like, I don't have the quest. I don't have the unlock.
Oh my God.
And you had it sitting in your quest log. Incomplete. Anyway, just Jen things.
Yeah, if I had a nickel. Anywho.
But I was going to talk about our experience mechanically first, Jen.
Great.
For this. Well, we had quite some adventures. I went with Jen to hang out with her, give her some encouraging words while she leveled up her tank.
Yeah. It was nice to get me going. It's an intimidating prospect, especially if you have to do high level dungeons and trials. It's like it's all you, buddy. Even like, we got Hawk Manor, and I was like, fuck. It doesn't matter how many times I've run that thing. I just follow the tank. It has not lodged itself in my brain, like exactly where to go. So luckily you were there to be like, all right, make a right, ignore, make a left. A lot of it is familiar, but I mean, there's so many Friggin' doors in that place. Anyway,
so that was Jen's leveling experience. Let's talk about the Paladin leveling experience. So the Paladin job abilities from level 50 to 60 are not super exciting. They are mostly defensive abilities. They're important ones, but not huge in terms of, I got this cool new like attack or...
It's not like getting regen or whatever as like a white mage.
Yeah, it's not like getting regen.
It's not like getting
or holy or anything. It's just kind of...
Fire 4.
It's some toolbox things which...
Umbral Soul. Sorry.
Thank you. Which every tank gets for the most part. There's one semi-interesting move, but for the most part, it is getting like the tank mitts.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some stuff, Jen. The first level up gives us just like the third long cooldown tank defense. This one is shield block themed, but every tank gets 3 minute plus cooldown mitts. You have Rampart, which is like the roll ability, and then 2 tank specific mitts, which are better than your Ramparts and your reprisals.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that, whatever. We get Goring Blade. This is a weird one. Jen, did you play with this while you were doing your questing?
Not really. I didn't need it.
I know, but I guess your level...
I was doing it. I was doing all of this stuff because I was already like basically level 60 at this point.
See.
So you're going back and doing level 52 content, and I'm just like, boop, boop, boop. Yeah. So I didn't need to use Goring Blade. It's a 700 potency one, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the number offhand, but it is very high.
If that's what it is, then yeah, it replaces the damage buff.
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
Correct. So this is, like Jen said, this is going to be the replacement feature, which they added in Dawntrail, which I love personally. Some jobs get extremely cluttered on their bars, and honestly, I will not touch some melee DPS pretty much, period. They have so many buttons you have to press to do the rotation. I don't want to like do that much.
Yeah.
I have a very well laid out spread of buttons that fits for most jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in my left hand, no hand strain range. But stuff like Ninja, I've not played Ninja since Dawntrail, but beforehand, Ninja like has 50 million buttons because you have the basic combo and then you have the mudras and shit, and it's just so many buttons to press. Point being, I appreciate that Dawntrail really gave us some consolidation because they added in the replacements where you can press a button and then that button can turn into another button that has a similar either chain or cooldown or whatever to save you some bar space. So like Jen said, fight or flight, the damage buff turns into Goring Blade. Fantastic. You just press them back to back. Love it. So that's the good thing. However, Goring Blade is a weird ability because it's like a remnant of the time when the devs took away most of the damage over time abilities from most jobs. Beforehand, I don't know when this happened exactly, sometime around Endwalker, I think, Paladin used to have a dot that they had to keep up on their target. And that was like an alternate path on the 1, 2, 3 melee combo. But they took away the dot and they gave us Goring Blade as like a damage replacement. But now it's just like a one-time button you press once per minute versus having to manage that dot. So same thing in terms of overall DPS, weird kind of offshoot one-off button though to kind of patch the hole they left.
Yeah. I was like, oh, what's this?
Ultimately, it's fine. You press it after fight or flight and you move on with your life. No big deal. I only care about that because I used to main Paladin and have mild interest. Though I do no longer.
That seemed like a million years ago, man.
It was functionally a million years ago.
Yeah, I remembered your glam. It was so good.
Thank you.
Like the bright blue and red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Anyway, so on to the next ability, Divine Veil. This is an AoE shield. On the scale of mitts, I'm pretty fond of this one because it's a shield, not like a damage, a mitt up, a damage down, whatever. Point being, it adds bonus hit points onto your character, which means it has a lot of different applications compared to like a 10% vulnerability down buff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The final new ability is Clemency. This is the Paladin's first actual spell that uses MP. It's a single target heal with a cast bar, and it is a controversial ability.
Really?
Yes. This lets Paladin dabble in being a full-on healer, though you do run out of MP quickly. The reason, though, it's controversial is that, 1, per the rumored healer strike at the beginning of Dawntrail, this does muddy the roles quite a bit, and honestly, Clemency can substitute for a healer in some easier content. If you're doing the
That checks
mechanics,
out.
if you're doing the mechanics correctly, you can patch up hit points in some easy shit with no healer. Not great for the healer role in that kind of content. Will not work for any higher end content or current dungeons, whatever. The second issue, though, Jen, and probably more common, is that clemency creates an incentive for a paladin to stop DPSing and start healing.
Right.
So if they're like, oh, hey, my health's pretty low, let's stop doing my AoEs and start healing myself. If the healer is on point, this is going to annoy the shit out of them because they have that handled. And honestly, the healer heals are far more efficient than tank heals. So some paladins will say, oh, hey, I've got a heal now, so I'm going to heal myself whenever I'm low on hit points. And that will drive healers fucking crazy. Like, I know how much damage you're going to take if I know my heal abilities.
Right.
And if you're at half health, you're not in trouble. I swear. There's nothing big coming your way. I can either let the fight run its course or I can pop a big heal later on. You don't need to second guess my job with your shittier healer.
Oof. Yeah.
That is a common issue with this spell. Frankly, in easier content, healers have little enough to do, so don't take this from them.
Oh, I know, right?
That said, clemency is very fun to use. I do like something that kind of breaks open the toolbox a bit, and for some weirder content, deep dungeons, solo duties, whatever, it is nice having the option. It does add more flexibility, and it is something besides a damage or mit ability.
Yeah, if you are super low in health and you run around a corner and you sprint away from the healer, heal your fucking self.
All right. Jen said it here.
I'm like, I can't heal you. I can't see you.
But at level 60, Jen, it's kind of a huge bummer. You get like a mild potency up on one of your basic
you get
weapon
like
skills.
a buff on a trait. Like, you're better at this now.
Yeah, it's the third button in the 1-2-3 melee combo.
Ooh.
Gets slightly more powerful.
Oh,
so kind of
shit.
shitty for a capstone IMO.
You get some gear.
You do get some gear, which is outclassed immediately by poetics, but correct.
Oh yeah, no, I went to Idleshire and got my stuff.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, I like the level 50 artifact armor set more than 60, though tastes may vary.
Sure. Is the table talk? Is the artifact gear for 60? Is that the shit that Sagil ends up wearing with like the wing and shit?
Probably yes. I didn't see the set. I did not look it up. I'll confess. And
I didn't pop it, so I don't know. I just assumed.
I put the armor on. I was curious how it looked, and I was like, well, my current glam is better, so I put it in the trash.
Right. Yeah.
But that would make sense.
Anywho.
Anyway, enough of the mechanic chat. On now to the job quest. So, on the quest subject, Jen, first off, I want to point out that this job has been put in a very difficult situation by the MSQ. Because, though you can technically do this quest at any time after you begin Heavensward, I would argue that you are, quote, supposed to start this job quest if you are being a Paladin main almost immediately after beginning Heavensward, and then you will do the quest alongside your normal job advancement to get those new abilities as you level up. You can assume, I think, that for the, quote, intended experience, you're supposed to be leveling up your job and then hitting the quest more or less ASAP as you're playing through the Heavensward expansion.
Right.
And that means, of course, that the Sultana's fucking dead. As of like, one patch cycle ago.
Yeah. There's still, they're not even like a little bit concerned. There's no discussion whatsoever about the Sultana.
Yes.
It's just like, where is our magic sword?
And Jen, you're doing this on your main. I am doing this on my pod character.
Which is even more awkward.
Yes, exactly.
Like, you know what? Hey, I'm just going to be back, like, just real quick. Don't tell anybody I'm here. I'm going to be doing my Paladin stuff.
Yeah, me, the number one criminal in Ul'dah.
Right.
According to the Monetarist, just walks into the Chamber of Rule where we had that giant showdown.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, hey, what's up, Jinlins? How's the Sultana? How's the Sultansworn?
Yeah.
And he's like,
okay, or?
We're fine.
Yeah, you know what? We've got some new recruits.
Yeah. So
they could use a little hero to show them what's up. Oh, you mean the God, what's the word I'm looking for? It's fallen from grace. What's the word for that?
There are many words for that.
It's like we've been exiled, we've been
banished, exiled, tarnished, disgraced.
Thank you. Yeah, you rattled those off real fast.
I got so many synonyms, Jen. Anyway, again, granted, it's hard to do the fucking Paladin quest because they have put themselves into the corner where the Paladins are the Sultan Sworn. At the same time, though, they do not even try to address the current situation.
No, they're like, it.
So we go over to Jinlin's, who is the captain of the Sultan Sworn. He's the very fine-featured blonde guy with the very fine mustache. And we're like, hey, how's it going? Don't mind me just hanging out here in the Chamber of Rule.
Hey, maybe you've heard of me.
He gives us a little nod with, we live in troubling times, as you well know.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah, I live in Ishgard now, motherfucker.
That is why it is more important than ever that the Sultan Sworn stand ready to serve as the sword and shield of the Sultanate. What Sultanate?
Bro, I've got some. So let's just sit down maybe for this. I know you were like on vacation or whatever. He's just like chilling in Costa del Sol. And Jenlins comes back and he's like, hey, so how's it going?
Please take us away, Jen.
Okay, so like I said, I did that part of the quest a year or something ago, so I have no idea what Jenlin says, but I'm assuming he tells us to go to Camp Blue Fog.
Right, I'll keep going for a bit then. Yeah. He goes on, and this is like a retcon, functionally speaking. His next line is, for a time, I feared that our order was doomed, but then you helped us restore our good name. Jen, what did we do last time?
With regards to Paladins?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, something dumb. Something
you're not wrong.
something that meant nothing, that didn't at all speak to the vaunted organization, supposedly, that is the Sultan Sworn, and what it means to be Sultan Sworn. It's just like, we're protectors, we take oaths.
Sure, but I guess most pertinently here, we killed some assassins on the level 50 quest that were trying to kill Jinlin's, then he went back to work after that. And that was the end of the quest.
Ah. Were they members of Death's Embrace by chance?
Yes, it was the Death's Embrace assassins last time.
Da, da, da.
However, I don't know what good name we restored. We just foiled one of many murders. And there are so many more assassins, Jen.
So many more. And murders and banditry and whatever.
The story, though, is that our shining example was enough to encourage new recruits to sign on. So now Jinlin's asks us to go and make an appearance at Camp Blue Fog to give them a few words of wisdom.
Right.
About how to protect the Sultana.
We go meet up with the dude there. His name is Owen. And he's like, hey, thanks for coming. We got some new recruits. We're going to do some drills. And he's like, I don't want you to do any kind of speech or anything, so I'm just going to have you do some sword skills. Because
he knows that we are a man/woman of few words.
You are correct. Thank you for not making us do a speech. So he's put out some bait for a fog basilisk. We're going to go fight it, and then the recruits are going to be like, ooh. So that's exactly what happens.
This thing is very beefy.
It's a big guy.
It doesn't
go down right away.
It doesn't do tons of damage. It has tons of hit points, though.
So we take care of that guy and head back. And as soon as we walk up to Owen, all the little recruits, they clap, which is really cute. But also, this is a military outfit that's totally unprofessional. Anyway, Owen was like, hey, that was great. Thanks so much. Okay, bye. We go back to Jenlin's, and we're like, so, yeah, we did the thing. And he's like, that's great. I wish I could thank you by, teaching you a new technique or imparting some valuable Sultan Sworn knowledge on you. But frankly, I got nothing. You're good. There's nothing else I can do for you. So have a nice life. And we're like, great, you too. And we walk away. And we get a, psst, hey. And it's Papa Sean. And he's chilling in a little hallway. And he's like, come over here. He's like, hey, I gotta talk to you about something, but I can't talk to you about it here. Meet me in my hangout in the dispatch yards outside of the city. So we go and we meet Papa Sean. Love Papa Sean. Always glad to talk to you, buddy. So he tells us that Jenlin's predecessor, Sulksagil, has been off searching for what?
I was going to remind us that Sulksagil, he is the apparent nemesis of the earlier job quest, where Jinlin's thinks that he's trying to take down the Sultan Sworn, but actually he's helping it from the outside.
It's complicated. He's a complicated man. Just
I don't know. I think that covers it, actually. Right there.
that's the joke. He's been off searching for the Oathkeeper, right? Because the Oathkeeper is the magic sword of the Sultan Sworn. It was stolen under his watch, and now he's basically bailed on the Sultan Sworn to try to get his honor back by finding the Oathkeeper. Anyway, so that's what he's been doing. It was stolen by the Monetarist's minions. So ever since, he's been sending missives back to Papa Shan, giving him updates on his progress. The last missive that Papa Shan got was Solxagil found Oathkeeper, and that's it. And then suddenly, nothing. No communication whatsoever, just radio silence, or Moogle silence, I suppose. So he fears...
They have link pearls, Jen.
All right, pearl silence. He fears something has happened, probably, to Solxagil, and he wants us to pick up the trail, which
is in Falcon's Nest.
The trail picks up in Falcon's Nest. Yeah,
in the Kurthus Western Highlands.
Why do you like saying that so much? Is that the new recurring problem?
It's the name of the zone.
But I guess it was just because I was proofing the last episode, and you were like, in the Kurthus Western Highlands. And then you plug in, Count Four Tom's voiceover and everything, and then
it's to differentiate
Kurthus Western Highland, the Western Highlands.
It's to differentiate it from the Central Highlands, Jen.
Well, if you've spent any time in the Central Highlands, you would know that Falcon's Nest is not a thing there, because there's only one aetheryte in the whole region.
For some of us, Jen, names blur together, so it helps to reinforce some other aspects like directions. One is central, one is to the west.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. So we get to Falcon's Nest, which we just unlocked last episode, for those of us who are playing in real time.
Not I.
And we ask around and get some contradictory information. But the facts in common are that a Rogadin spent some time in the Falcon's Nest and was recently engaged out in the frozen wastes with a large group of supposed bandits. Soon, though, we find a contact with more detailed info. It's a Rogadin on the lower level of the nest named 100 Eyes, which is a pretty metal name.
It's kind of awesome.
Yep. And he gives us the bad news.
He does remember Solxagil. However, he was ambushed in the night by bandits, and 100 Eyes himself buried him.
Out near Camp Riversmeet.
Just like the man said. But before he passed, he befriended a younger man named Constant, who was devastated by his loss. So we head out to Camp Riversmeet, which is where Solxagil has been laid to rest. There we find his young ward, Constant.
This is a younger Elezen with warm brown hair and a simple tunic on. He looks very basic for now.
He's a little kind of like a tattered tunic, some stained slops,
It's a Realm Reborn ass tunic.
It's the shit we wear when we go undercover with Thancred.
Yep.
So, the fact that he was taken under the wing by a former, Sultan Sworn, kind of a big deal. I mean, this kid, he's got dreams. But right now, his world is a nightmare because he's surrounded by Death's Embrace.
These are white-robed assassins, which is important because the color of the robes matters.
This is such a trope, man, like a villain in a white suit, So after we fight them off, he's glad to know somebody else gave a shit about Solxagil.
You gotta quote him, Jen. He's a little cutie. Halone's blessings be upon you, sir.
Aww.
I say that was a rather frightful experience. Were you a friend of Solxagil's too? Ah, good. That is to say, my condolences.
He's like, I don't know, 16, 17?
Yep, thereabouts.
So, let's see.
He speculates that the Death's Embrace also killed Solxagil. But at this point, Papa Shan pings us by Link Pearl.
We're like, oh, hey, bud. We tell him the sad news. And he's like, I did hear that Death's Embrace were in the area, and he thinks perhaps they killed Solxagil when he attempted to retrieve Oathkeeper from them. So we need to follow Constant and get more info from him. So we go back and talk to a Constant, like, hey, man, like, tell me your story. So he first... Oh, sorry.
You got to quote him, Jen. You got to set his character up.
Okay.
He's a little cutie.
He's...
We need to establish him as the one redeemable character in this BS.
He's like saying all the things that I'm thinking. But in the beginning, I had some, like I said, some head tilt moments, but we'll get there.
He is honored to meet us. That is for a second time. Sorry if I'm a bit out of sorts. It's just, I've been thinking about him a lot. About the day we first met, when he saved me. How his sword gleamed as he danced among the wolves. Constant explains that after their first encounter, he begged Solxagil to teach him the ways of the Paladin. Eventually, Constant's persistence won out, and Solxagil began to mentor him. So he now we propose to him that we work together to find Oathkeeper, which thrills Constant. Oh, if Solxagil could see us now, 2 Paladins united in purpose. Well, I suppose it's rather premature for me to claim the title. 1 veteran Paladin and 1 aspiring Paladin, then, united in purpose.
It's very cute, but it's also... like, bro, you're so young, and obviously it's his most fervent wish to become a Paladin. But at this moment, he's really kind of romanticized the idea, and for a bit here, he's just basically engaging in cosplay.
Don't worry, Jen, we're going to fix that right soon.
So, okay.
This begins the quest, Big Solarets to Fill.
Solerie. So, let's pretend we didn't see him for... let's pretend we didn't immediately turn in the quest and then click him again. Okay. So in the time since, Constant has since discovered Solk. I keep referring to him as Solk in my notes because I was tired of having to type out Solxagil. Because my fingers do not understand that combination of letters. It is so... the muscle memory is fighting me every step of the way. I'm like, fuck it, his name is Solk now. Anyway, Constant has since discovered Solxagil's journal, in which he had marked a spot near the Gorganier Holdings. Surely this was in relation to Oathkeeper.
This is where we fought the Dravanian cultists last time.
What's up with these gangs, man? They're all like consolidating right here in this place. So we go out there to meet him at this spot that's marked on this map. And he has a new pair of shoes on when we see him. He managed to resize Solxagil's old solarets. And I mean, the gleaming silver solarets next to his stained ass pants and tunic.
Jen, I love this because he's doing the A Realm Reborn artifact armor thing.
Yeah, correct.
It's so good.
It's literally what he's doing. You get a quest step, you get a piece of gear, and then you put it on, and nothing else fucking matches.
And you look like a fucking asshole.
You look like an asshole. And it's so earnest and it's so sweet. But at the same time, my first thought was, I think this is a little inappropriate to immediately, like, ambulance chase your way into a new pair of solarets. The man is still, like, barely cold on the ground, and you're like, I need these shoes fitted to me immediately, please.
Jen, the Paladins desperately need some passion and some honesty and earnestness. They got enough bullshit.
So my feelings are conflicted on this. Like, yes, it's adorable, but also, like, that is a dead man's shoes.
I hear what you're saying, and honestly, it's usually me being the Jen right now, and you being me, but...
Yeah, I'm like, oh, he's so adorable. Literally, our roles are swapped right now.
Yes.
And it's going to be that way for the rest of the thing.
Apparently.
But
anyway,
at least until he, like, speaks to us through the fourth wall, and I'm like, yes, thank you, finally somebody said it.
But you're not wrong in what you're saying, but for me, the charm wins out over the morbidity of the action.
Yeah, I couldn't... it was hard for me to grasp the charm because he just finding dead man's stuff and he's immediately putting it on.
Speaking
and I'm like,
of,
damn, dude.
After he informs us that he is now well protected against thigh-high threats,
which is cute,
we head out into the snow to follow this trail of blood. And on the way, we find a paladin's coronet. This is the crown thing.
Yeah.
And he puts on that crown.
It's like, oh, hey, look at that. He brushes a little blood off right on his head.
Yep. We keep following the trail of blood, and we fight some more assassins, and eventually we reach the far edge of the zone, the far western edge. We cover some ground here.
For real.
Out on the far edge, we find Constant facing down another pack of assassins. He cries, "To arms, for justice, for Sulksigil." I thought the cornet would help, but that speech felt rather uninspired. At this point, though, the assassins are done with our BS and we fight.
So one of the men in the group is the Death's Embrace controller. And so this is interesting. He spawns a bunch of like unholy grimoires, which are basically portals. And these like dragon things come out and they keep fighting us and whatever.
It's a callback from the level 50 capstone fight, where a similar thing happened.
It was a long time ago.
I understand, Jen.
Well, eventually we and the Splinter Blade emerge triumphant. Did we win? Oh shit, I think we won! We did not find Oathkeeper, but we have at least defeated the gang, so they can no longer go out and hurt innocent people. Now, let us, two paladins, shining examples of hope and justice against the bleak landscape of cruelty, return to Falcon's Nest for a well-deserved rest. Upon our return, Constant has some good points to make about the state of banditry and vigilantism in Ishgard, in that the Dragonsong War pulls away all available resources, so the rest of us are basically fucked. So it allows groups like Death's Embrace, for example, to attack with seeming impunity, though Death's Embrace, they choose their victims very carefully. You know, they choose victims that people aren't going to miss, or the people who do miss them don't really mean much in society. He talks about his mother's caravan being attacked on their way to Tailfeather, and he thought he would never figure out who was responsible for that. But when he told Sulksigil about it, that's when he learned about Death's Embrace. And he's like, I don't know if the remaining members of Death's Embrace have Oathkeeper, but even if they don't, it is our duty as paladins to stop them. That's what Sulksigil would say were he here, right? I'm like, yeah, I think so, yeah.
And now time passes and we get word from an acquaintance of Constance in Tailfeather, who claims to have in his possession a missive written by Sulksigil. So we head to Tailfeather, which we will detail much later in the MSQ. There we find Grimold, who is an axe-wielding guardian. He says that this situation is very odd. Who sends a missive with provisions when we've got post-Moogles running about who can do it faster?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that bandits have been raiding caravans to Tailfeather for weeks now.
Yeah, we're lucky to get this letter.
Any road, it was your friend's wish that you come all this way. And Constant reads the message. I left you a gift near the 100 throws. Take it and become the man you were destined to be. Despite the evocative name, our destination is the base of a tree near a river. At the base of said tree is a box with a pair of gallant cuisses and a Paladin soul crystal. Note this crystal, Jen, because it is very important and very alarming that someone put it in a box in this location.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jen, so far, I had glossed over in my memory, like, all of the early shit in favor of, like, the finale, which had tainted this quest for me in retrospect. So I'd forgotten about all this stuff, but I'm having a good time, except for, like, the weird plot stuff at the very beginning. Once we get to Falcon's Nest, I think this quest is rather good. You know, classic plot, assassin kills someone, you gotta figure out their trail and pick up their work.
Sure.
One for the ages.
It's a mystery, yeah.
We're not doing anything offensive yet. We're running around fighting assassins or finding clues, fine. But this is when the quest for me begins to go south. Because, direct quote, we'll have several of these. Constant now notes, why does it feel like I'm being led by the nose?
Same. It's like, first, there's the journal, the map and stuff. Now there's this missive and this box of stuff for me. I'm like, I got a lot of questions. I'm like, same, buddy. This is all extraordinarily convenient. We part ways for a bit, and we find him again, and he's standing in front of Sulksigil's grave. He doesn't see us at this point, but we do overhear him kind of talking to himself. Or rather, he's talking to Sulksigil's spirit. He's asking his former mentor why he agreed to teach him. What did he see in him? And just then, Genlins arrives, and he...
Jen, despite all of the trials and travails we went through to enter Ishgardian lands, apparently Genlins can just walk over from Ul'dah.
Maybe the Sultan Sworn are going to have special permissions, but literally he just walks in.
He may have lion's blood in him.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
11, Jin.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Lion.
The teleporting plot device.
Correct. Yes. So that's what he's doing. Well, he showed up because Papa Shan told him about Solxagil's missives and how they stopped. And he's like, I had to come out here and see it for myself. And he's like, darn, he's dead. And suddenly, our soulstone pings. And then Genlin's soulstone pings. And then there's like a ping-off between the soulstones. And we're like, what's happening? The soulstone that Constant just found is doing fuck all. And Constant is standing there like, what's going on? And then suddenly, and at this point, I'm like, I swear to God, if the ghost of Solxagil appears before us and does some kind of Anakin Skywalker bullshit, I'm going to spit. I fully expected his spirit to appear or for him to resurrect or some shit with this
That
stuff.
may be better.
Oh my God. So eventually there's a bit of glowy essence that goes from Genlin's soulstone into ours. It's like we sucked him dry. And Genlin's asks, what sorcery is this?
But then we spot something. A robed Rogadin wearing a green robe looks down at us from a cliff above. He sees our soulstones lighting up and he smiles. And then he's gone.
Well, not before our Asian sensing.
Yeah. It's one of those, we look up and then the scene cuts back to the cliff and he's gone.
And we all look and turn and then poof, he's gone and then into the mists.
Jinlins thinks that he is with the Death's Embrace, though the robes do not match Jin. But anyway, lacking anything else to do here, he's like, all right, well, you keep at it then. And then he leaves.
Well, this is hilarious. So Genlins is like, you know what? I think the Death's Embrace are spying on you, buddy. And he's talking to Constant. Spying on you and the soul you bear. And, perhaps a minion of Death's Embrace is spying on Solxagil's pupil. They thought the Sultan Sworn would weep into their cups for the rest of time after they stole our Oathkeeper. But we didn't, all right? We continued fighting, and we will continue to fight for Oathkeeper's return. Anyway, I'm going to head back to Ul'dah. I got to figure out what the hell that soulstone stuff meant.
Time passes.
Well, not before Constant looks at the sky and goes, what do you want from me?
So we meet up again at Falcon's Nest.
This poor kid.
And Constant has concluded that he should stop trying to retrace Solxagil's steps and go after the Death's Embrace directly instead, assuming that they have the sword themselves. On the way, though, we stop and we harass the Rogadin 100 Eyes. Constant demands of him, how did Solxagil die? Because he swears the other day he saw him alive.
It's like, I swear to God, I saw something. And 100 Eyes does not mince words. And he says, you want me to paint you a bloody picture? He was murdered. I found him. And I buried him. That's all you need to know. It's totally legit. I'm totally satisfied with that. Constant, why are you bothering this man? Let's go.
So we're now on to a nothing quest step. We get rumor that some Old Dawn-esque bandits have snuck aboard an airship to the Sea of Clouds, and now they're stuck there. So we go there and we fight a few speed bump groups, and one of them is carrying around some gallant gauntlets.
Oh, that's weird. Why would a member of the Death's Embrace be carrying a pair of Sultan Sworn elite gloves, bro?
There's no way he could have possibly planned this. It's too elaborate. Nay, impossible. But what other explanation could there be?
We give him over, like, hey, we found this. And he's like, no way. And he puts them on. And he's like, they fit like a glove. Ayo.
We get back to Falcon's Nest, and there is terrible news. 100 Eyes has been gravely wounded. He was set upon by a pack of wolves, and reinforcements arrived too late. Constant went to go see him, but 100 Eyes sent him away and told him to send for us instead. So we find 100 Eyes bleeding out at the base of Falcon's Nest, being tended to by a House Durandare Leech, which is a metal name.
Correct. So it's like, he's applying leeches metaphorically. It's healthcare.
Metaphorically correct. It's like, I don't think he's actually...
No.
Problem is lack of blood, Jen.
It's just
he doesn't need less blood.
Right. So, feeling death snapping at his heels, 100 Eyes confesses. He tells us, go to Sulksigil's grave, dig it up, take what's there, give it to the boy. It won't make up for what he did to his sworn brothers, but it'll be a small step towards restitution. And I quote, what we've done to the boy ain't hardly defensible. And I'm like, God damn it. So, we go to the grave and we dig up some things. We do not find a coffin. We find a box with a surcoat in it. Constant followed us there, and he sees us digging up the grave of his mentor, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? We just turn around silently and hand him the coat, and he's like, what the fuck? Now he is mad. And we head back to 100 Eyes for some answers.
But he did.
We are too late. He passed away. Now Papa Sean is there.
Guess we broke the seal on the Ishgardian.
They're just coming and going. Just full stop. How deep does this conspiracy go? So he asks, when I say he, I mean Papa Sean. He asks Constant to meet him at Lancegate for some quote-unquote words. I'm like, hey, we just did that with Papa Sean too. And this is where I had to stop. I stopped taking notes because I couldn't turn away to take notes because it just got more and more horrifying as it went on. And I texted Levi and I said, bro, I can't take any more notes. And he's like, I got you.
So before we leave, though, Papa Sean mutters to 100 Eyes, rest in peace, brother. So 100 Eyes is likely also a paladin.
Free paladin, former Sultan Sworn. Yep.
Now then, though, it's time to come clean, so we all head north into the big frozen lake area way up north in Western Highlands. And we have a paladin meetup. We have Constant, Papa Sean, and Sulksigil. He was the robed Rogadin.
No, shut up.
Constant demands of him, why the lies? Was this all just some game to you? Sulksigil replies, I had my reasons, as you will soon learn.
Fuck off.
But Papa Sean calls him out. That's a rather odd way to apologize, Sulksigil. I suggest you try again.
So, pause. So Papa Sean's already like, bro, you need to apologize to this poor kid. You've been dicking around. Like, this is the most egregious manipulation. Not only of this kid, but of everything else his plan entailed. And Papa Sean is like, apologize to this dude. But Papa Sean, you were there. You enabled this.
He did.
You were like in the Chamber of Rule, whispering to us from a hallway, saying like, I've got some bad news. I lost my friend Sulksigil. I don't know what happened to him. And you fucking knew the whole time.
Correct.
We were a pawn in your machinations. Continue.
So Constant is likewise outraged. He's speaking for the people, Jen.
Correct.
Faking your death, constructing an elaborate scenario for me to find your armor. Jen, here come some direct quotes. The simultaneous self-awareness and utter lack of self-awareness of this questline astound me. Like, I don't...
Yeah, it flip-flops so many times. I'm like, wait, you just contradicted what you said literally like 2 sentences ago.
Direct quote again. He says, Constant says, to be honest, I'm as astonished as I'm offended. Mm-hmm. How could you have possibly orchestrated everything so perfectly?
Yeah.
To which Sulksigil replies, it doesn't matter how I did it. What matters is why I did it.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
He goes on.
Oh my God. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions.
Oathkeeper is but a sword. True oaths are not forged in steel. They are sworn in the heart.
All right. Remember this, folks, for like 2 minutes in the future.
To merely reclaim the sword will not suffice. It must be won by a worthy paladin.
Yeah.
Only then will it and our order be restored to its former glory.
Oh, okay.
I would argue that wasting all the senior paladins' time on this bullshit might be keeping you from your former glory.
Gosh,
but...
man. Yeah, I feel like what you just said contradicts everything that you had been doing for the last, what, month?
But Constant is still on point. I don't understand. Why not simply teach me the ways as you said you would? To which Soxagil...
Right. We can do some drills, some field
But no,
exercises.
Jen, you see, a sultan may move a man, a master may instruct his pupil, but only when that pupil moves himself can he become a paladin.
Shut the fuck up.
This is a perfect example of deep-sounding but empty words trying to patch a chasm in the story.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? I fucked up real bad, guys, but I'm going to try to, like, wordsmith my way out of this.
It gets worse, though, Jen.
It sure does.
Soxagil goes on. That said, I did not account for the Warrior of Light's intervention, even though he and Papashan are in cahoots.
You fucking did! You don't remember! That was all part of your plan! That was the whole fucking reason! Your bro would have died if we hadn't been there!
Now he goes, Master Papashan, as we discussed. Papashan hesitates very well.
If you hated his plan, you should have been like, no, dude, Soxagil, as your brother, I'm going to tell you to abandon this plan.
Papashan holds out his soul crystal, and its energy gets sucked off into Constance.
Oh my god. Okay, so this is the only note I took for the whole rest of this quest line. This is the only note I took.
Is it our crystals have a suck off?
The soul stone circle jerking commences.
Yes.
Fucking soulstone bukkake up in here.
So
it's it's fucking hilarious. We all pull out our soul stones and they go like ping, 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 ping to one another, and we're like, oh, where's it going? What's going on, guys? Hey man, pull out your soul stone. Yeah, let me see it. Let's go. Give it to me. And it's like there's like continue.
Now, Constance, having sucked off the other soulstone successfully, his begins to glow red and hot.
Whoa!
With energy.
And then ours also starts to glow red and hot. It's like crackling with red hot lightning, and Soxagil is sitting there going like, yes.
He says,
yes.
The souls we paladins wield are embodiments of our will. In keeping to our oaths, they grow stronger, engorged. More dominant. In the presence of a particularly pure soul, others may be compelled to yield. But when two souls cannot reconcile, when one cannot establish dominance, it can spell disaster. Constant interjects.
Never cross the streams.
That seems awfully inconvenient.
Thank you. Like, that's fucking stupid.
I will interject. What does that have to do with being a paladin?
Thank you! Also, this makes no sense.
Also, this is being framed like our soul and Constance's soul are being
on the same level.
But he is equal. Like, he's baby. He's looking up to us the entire time. He's like, what do we do, big brother?
Right. So what they're saying is, and this is the most gracious way of saying how this could possibly be true. We're battling our just flat, heroic, beastly skill is on par with Constance just pure idealistic earnestness in becoming paladin, and those two factions are fighting it out.
But Jen, as the discordance between two souls grows, you know all that discord we had with Constance,
right,
all the fights,
yeah, all that discord, yeah, sure.
The ether builds and the souls grow unstable. The only way to stop it is to fight. The souls demand it.
This is when I lost my shit. I shoved my chair away from my desk and I put my hoodie over my mouth, and I'm like, because I didn't want to disturb my neighbors. No, this isn't. No. I was screaming. Like, we're not gonna fight. We're not gonna fight.
Constant has your back. He says, direct quote again, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
What is happening?
We are paladins, defenders of the weak and needy. What madness is this that we must face each other in battle?
We're not gladiators, dude!
But he gets plot bullied into doing it. If there's truly no other way, I will not renounce my oaths. I will become the paladin I was destined to be.
Teaching him bad habits.
And if that means we must fight, so be it.
Fuck. God damn it. So then we fight. Okay, and then I'm like, there's no way, man. But we fight this poor kid. But he has a new title now. What was his title here? It was like Constant. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. I stopped taking notes.
Anyway, so I did not either note his new title. Regardless, though, he goes down so fast. Jin, I'm in my level 50 poetic gear. I am undergeared for level 60.
Right.
I had to stop DPS in my fight or flight window because I wanted to see if there were mechanics. But he just does like the normal paladin abilities. He's like a level 50 paladin, essentially. Because he baby. He does, however, use the invuln, which is interesting. Like, he will super tank up for a bit and then...
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, hey, good job, man.
Yep.
Hey, maybe we could have had you practice this, maybe with some drills or some field exercises.
Anyway, we beat him easily, and he keeps on breaking character. He cries, "Am I truly so weak?" Silksagil says, "No, you fought with honor and purpose.
Blah, 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 blah,
Do not
blah.
be ashamed."
Right.
And now Jinlins appears out of nowhere. He may as well be slow clapping. Impressive, truly impressive.
Fuck me.
Intrigue and deception that would put Lord Lolorito to shame. Silksagil
Awesome.
goes, "Figured it out, have you?"
Oh my god.
He asks Constant to produce the soul crystal we found in a random box in the middle of the woods by a tree. This soul belonged to the first captain of the Sultansworn, the first paladin who wielded Oathkeeper.
Oh!
Once it shone with resplendent light, as did Oathkeeper, but now both have lost their luster. I have the sword, and everything I have done that I've made you all do, it has been for the sole purpose of making it shine once more.
Wait! Pause. Record scratch. Rewind the tape. What did he just fucking say? Being a Sultansworn, being a paladin, is not about a shiny sword. It's about the oaths you take, blah, 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 whatever. Like, literally play back what you read 4 minutes ago. But now he's done all of this to make this sword go like wah, 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 wah. And he needed all of us to fall in line for that to happen.
Jinlins goes, "Of course, it's so simple." Wait, no, it's not. It's needlessly complicated. But we soldier on. Jinlins produces the cracked soul crystal that kicked off our paladin misadventures at level 30. He says, "Take it, Silksagil, and restore Oathkeeper's light with your own." But he says no. Once a man has left the Sultansworn, he cannot return. My soul will no longer suffice. All I can do is show another the way.
Oh my god.
But he does not yet stand above all others. Not until he has bested me. Draw your sword, warrior of light.
No!
The time has come.
No!
Silksagil the loyal yells. Loyal to what? We're not sure. Come, paladin, show me the metal in your heart and steel in your blade.
Nuh-uh.
And we do.
We fight this motherfucker.
This fight has two mechanics. This one was interesting because it's used again in a much better sense, like at level 80 something in Abazia. This is where Silksagil will channel some ability. He has like a long cast bar, and he will do a big sweep of energy and knockback.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're behind him, you dodge that shit.
Ah.
So it like dings you for maybe 5% health and knocks you back 20 feet. Not a big deal. But the later mechanic will one-shot you that has the exact same kind of tell and effect.
Aha.
So that was curious to me. Anyway, so that's one mechanic. The other is that he will summon 3 tethered shields. You kill the shields to make him vulnerable.
Yep.
Games.
Yep. He's like, "Oh, let me see you get past this stuff." I'm like, bro.
And that's it. After the fight, our crystal sucks off his crystal and Constant's crystals.
Yeah, so there's the triangle of crystal sucking. And suddenly the glowing essence from the two of them flows into our soul crystal. These tandem trails flowing into us, and like boing! Clearly, we are the largest paladin here.
Silksagil cries, at long last, a paladin who can make it shine again. Behold, Oathkeeper, bestowed upon the first captain of the Sultan Sworn, stolen under my watch by the minions of the Monetarists. And we behold Oathkeeper. This is a surprisingly modest-looking sword. It has a marble-like blade with the cross-section showing the strata, like the
Damascus steel.
Yeah, like the level 50 Paladin artifact weapon, for instance, the relic weapon. He goes on, for years I sought to reclaim it, to redeem myself for my failure. A Paladin swears allegiance to the Sultanate. A Paladin shall be the sword and shield of the Sultanate. A Paladin defends the people of the realm. 30 years I aspired to those ideals. 30 years I tried to live up to the example set by our founder, so revered that his very soul crystal would be set in Oathkeeper's pommel. For those legendary captains of Eld, the sword would shimmer with such brilliance that night would be as day. Yet, for 30 years I wore it, and it shined for me but once. That was before it was taken from me, before I forswore my oaths so I could reclaim it. Warrior of light, through your trials and tribulations, you have remained true to yourself and to Eorzea. Come, take up Oathkeeper, raise it aloft, and let it shine forth as a beacon unto all. We do. We hold it aloft, and it bursts into a glowing radiance.
It's doing the thing.
Then we just give the sword to Jinlins, and it farts out all the light. This made me laugh out loud, Jin.
It's like, oh, don't do him dirty like that. We're like, see how awesome it is?
Yep.
All right, hey, Jinlins. Hey, Jinlins. Take the sword. See what it does.
Yep. Womp womp.
Womp womp. Maybe someday, buddy.
Now, Silksagil contradicts his own contrived manipulations.
Here it is.
He says, you were always my first choice, warrior of light. Constant was incentive, motivation. Though in the end, he proved himself to be so much more.
Oh, that's so gross, dude. Oh,
so, Jen,
he's standing right there.
I repeat, quote, in like 30 seconds, quote, a paladin defends the people of the realm, and then this little baby was a tool to meet my needs.
Man, I think I figured out why this sword never glowed for you.
Constant, though, is back on point. You're a right bastard, you know that? Doing all this to make a bloody sword shine.
Thank you.
Praise Halone that I found a proper mentor in the Warrior of Light.
Hell yeah, bro. High five.
High five. Well, I may not be the chosen one, but I'm still a free paladin. That is the path I have chosen for myself, and on it I will stay.
Good for you, bud.
Now, Papa Shan is done with the shit, and he leaves.
My work here is done. Fuck.
Jinlins turns to us. Oathkeeper may not shine for me as it did for you, but perhaps in time it will.
Okay.
Not at this rate, but
don't be like Silksagil, I guess.
Too late. But he goes on, even should it not, I will not lose heart, for a paladin's virtue is not in the radiance of his blade, but in the righteousness of his actions.
Wait. What? No, that's not the lesson we just learned.
Jinlins turns to Silksagil. He says, Oathkeeper is returned to the Sultan Sworn. Will you not return as well? He responds,
what?
As a friend and ally, perhaps, but not as a brother.
No, what does that even fucking mean, man?
Some bonds, once broken, cannot be mended.
Okay, dude.
Silksagil now turns to us. I thank you for all you have done. Ha! How strange that we must turn to a free paladin rather than one of our own to show us the way. Yet, I suppose it's not the first time, is it? And we now talk to Constant, the one person who has not turned to shit in this interaction. He goes, I'm still not quite sure what this was all for, but it seems to have ended well enough. I suppose you ought to get back to your grand adventures and me to my paladining.
He literally says paladining.
Yes. Or whatever it is you call it.
Cute.
Oh, but I warn you, the next time we cross blades, I mean to win. Farewell.
He's too cute.
The end.
So, yeah, I don't appreciate being like spit in the face.
Multiple times.
Like I had a feeling that like this, no, again, because in this game, nobody dies for realsies. So I was just waiting for Solxicle to come back or something. But I was like, it got to a point where like, if he comes back now, that's the biggest fuck you to literally everybody in this quest and everybody we've met who is a paladin or a Sultan Sword. And then that happened. And he was like smirking the whole way, you know? And this poor kid. And then I mean, at least 100 Eyes' death wasn't related to these shenanigans. It was just a freak accident. You know, they're right next to packs of wild animals. It's going to happen, but still truly offensive and also confusing as a player because you're seeing all of this happen and you're screaming and you're confused and you're mad. And there are characters in the quest who are like calling that shit out right alongside with you. And like, so what was happening when they were writing this?
That is what perplexes me. And that is the one thing I wish so desperately to know from this quest is how can you be so aware of your shit that you have the characters screaming at it, but you still plod on with this?
They're like, guys, can we just scrap the whole thing right now and write something that's good, that makes sense, that makes us proud to be a paladin? Because I will tell you, when this quest ended and we got our little abilities, whatever, and our sack of gear, and I'm like, I refuse to put that shit on. I will never be a paladin. If I ever look like you or behave like you, just send me back to my village from whence I came.
No, you're actually legit right, Jen. Paladin in this game is rough. The actual paladin themed content is not at all heroic whatsoever.
It makes me feel gross.
And like, you don't get much time to be your job in the world except for the occasional line that references a job you might have unlocked at some point. But most of the time, you're the warrior of light. You're not job.
Right.
To have the paladin experience, and slight spoiler, Jin, the level 61 to 70 quest drops the shit entirely. But so this is the definitive paladin experience in Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, well.
And you get the okay but rough intro, and now you get this as the capstone to the paladin experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what the job is in terms of the in-game story.
Feels bad, man.
I fully agree. But Jen, that said, so like I mentioned earlier, for me, this overshadowed everything else in my memory until I replayed it just now. But again, I thought actually the first 2.5 quest steps were okay once we get going in Ishgard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if they had turned left there, essentially,
right,
and gone somewhere else, it would be fine to great. It's just this shit that really kind of tanks it at the end.
Stop bringing people back from the dead.
This reminded me, though, of the Arcanist quest line, Jen, because of the Puppet Master bullshit going on.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I was thinking about that, and I feel like, on the whole, I still would rank Arcanist lower than this one. Because Arcanist does the thing throughout the entire quest line. This one gives you a blast at the end, and it's awful. But Arcanist, though, is laughing in your face the entire time. So I think I would put that one lower in my personal account. Not trying to put you in a box, Jen.
No. That's a valid point. I don't think I can argue with that, frankly. Yeah.
This is one very strong, intense, negative experience, though, at the end.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But Jen, we give the sword away.
Yeah.
Like, in what fantasy sword quest
I was like, oh, hey, here's our new weapon. Here's our level 60 weapon, guys.
In what fiction ever do you go through
hell?
The hell of earning the right, finding a thing, whatever, and you get the sword, the metaphorical or literal sword, often is literal.
Right.
And then you go, swing, I got it. Here you go.
Here you go. Hey, man, looks like you could use a cool new sword.
Just in terms of the pure narrative, we have earned it spiritually.
Like, literally, our soul is the fattest one here.
Yes.
Our soul has the most girth.
Correct.
And
so we are the one chosen by Oathkeeper, and then we're like, okay, here you go. Thanks, sword, for the light. Here you go, other
guy. But honestly, if the Warrior of Light, if my character's thoughts are in line with my own, then yes, I'm like, ew, gross. I don't want the sword. It's tainted now.
Jen, it's not the sword's fault. We should rescue that poor sword. We need to readopt it.
Give it to Constant. We should have handed it to Constant.
To be fair, Constant has not earned the sword yet.
But I trust him with it.
I would
trust him to keep it safe until he knows he's ready for it. Because he knows he's not.
But we give it to Jinlins, who's
going to go put it in a vault somewhere, or I don't know, like whatever, put it on some kind of stupid fucking pedestal, and all the Sultan Sworn, when they clock in for the morning, will go and like kiss it or something. Bro, okay. I thought when I was going through this that they had like all of the self-aware lines, all of like, you guys, this doesn't make any sense. You're a bastard. I thought that they had gone back in and rewrote that shit to try to like help us feel less crazy. All right. Okay, the next time we go to PAX and there's a panel, we're going to be like, all right, explain.
I doubt like the number cruncher for Square Enix
we don't know who's going to show up.
I was the writer of the level 60 Paladin quest.
And we're going to, take this back to your office. Though I bet you guys talk about it every day, because why couldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Yeah, my little recurring gag in the outro is, I don't even know where I'm going to start on that one.
Well, Jen, before we outro it up, are we good? You said your words that you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the good news, Jen, is that we have nowhere to go but up in our Heavensward job quests.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
I had
fun. That was entertaining as hell. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So there's that. Anyway, next time we're back to the MSQ. We'll be playing through Amana Lane's branch of the intro.
Ooh, I've already done that. Sick.
Look at that. Free week for Jen.
Woo! What am I going to do with all my free time? And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. And thank you for sleeping on the wet spot of our Soulstone Circle Jerk session. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com. Check us out on Blue Sky at podreturnffxiv. Check the show notes for our Discord. You can join up and join us for some group runs, talk about your pets, talk about your life. Like it's just good times, and we would love to have more good folks. And last but not least, our Patreon, patreon.com/podreturnffxiv. And for $1 a month, you get access to everything else that we're doing. That includes the seasonal events from 14 and our Final Fantasy XI series, Vanadiel Vansplainer. So check it out. And with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.